Raise your hand if you want to get in the conversation. We'll do some California stuff, and then we'll come back to Scott Bessent and a few other issues. Here's the White House press secretary today. When asked, this would be number 5, please. Asked about the rioters. Caroline Levitt with a tone you will recognize.
Left-wing radicals waving foreign flags viciously attacked ICE and Border Patrol agents as well as Los Angeles police officers. These criminals injured police, threw rocks at police cars and officers, burned vehicles, shut down freeways, and lobbed Molotov cocktails, all because the Trump administration was removing violent criminal illegal aliens from the city. These attacks were aimed not just at law enforcement, but at American culture and society itself. Rioters burned American flags, chanted "Death to ICE," and spray-painted anti-American slogans on buildings. But President Trump will never allow mob rule to prevail in America. The most basic duty of government is to preserve law and order, and this administration embraces that sacred responsibility. Democrats like Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass shamefully failed to meet their sworn obligations to their citizens. They didn't have the courage to do the right thing and protect law-abiding Californians from rioters. That's why President Trump deployed the National Guard and mobilized Marines to end the chaos and restore law and order. The mob violence is being stomped out.
My first question. Go ahead.
But I know I have a question for Rob. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm not going to do the whataboutism about January 6th. We all know it in the back of our heads. Okay. But Rob, I want to ask you, the Dodgers fan, what happened downtown over the weekend? I've seen worse when the Dodgers blow a playoff, right? I mean,
or when the Lakers win. Yeah.
Or when the Lakers win. There's this little tiny crazy amount of, of people, right? Like who, take to the streets. Not to say there's not righteous anger and indignation about these raids, especially people who are with papers or are here on certain visas or student visas get swept up, which it seems like they are. But in terms of painting it as this is as bad as January 6th, it's just not true. And I think that everybody agrees that the Democrats blew it by not going after low-hanging fruit. Why didn't the Democrats close the border? Why didn't the Democrats deport known criminals? Why wasn't that a priority? I mean, there was low-hanging fruit they could have taken, and now they're, listen, nobody wants to go from, we're deporting, as Karen Bass said, hardened criminals to chasing down a drywaller in a Home Depot parking lot. But what I miss is that, Congress has dropped the ball for decades now on fixing this immigration problem, and everybody's going like this, and nobody's looking at them, So that's my rant,
Okay.
Rob. You go.
Rob, go.
Well, Levitt said something in her rant that was interesting. She had to read that. You'd think she could just recite that. But she talked about criminals, that they were removing criminals from the streets. That's the narrative I think that they may be starting to overplay their hand on. The head of the Western Agricultural Association, represents the big farmers, said yesterday his members are starting to report of detention amongst their workforce. If this goes beyond gangsters and criminals, as Congressman Valadao was saying yesterday, as Congressman Gonzalez of Texas was saying yesterday, hey, focus on the criminals and the gangsters. If it goes beyond that, the visuals change, and I think the White House risks this narrative.
Absolutely right, Rob. They've rolled out the same 8 people. I mean, if I hear, talk about a basket of deplorables, if I hear these 8 rapists and traffickers, and you remember we'd be schemed there. I mean, like they've made playing cards out of them. But what's really happening is that today a 9-year-old boy and his father, who were picked up, and I think it was the Torrance Public School, next to the Torrance Public School, but he's a student there, they were deported today. And these people who worked, and by the way, I have all my notes because I did 7 interviews in the last few hours on all this stuff. But the Ambiance Apparel Company is where it all kicked off. That's where union leader David Huerta was also arrested on Friday, and people are having a hard time finding out where their dad is or where their mom is. We are getting reporting from the LA Times on people doing stops up in the agricultural area, which is going to lead, Rob, as you know, it to $15 heads of lettuce if they go that far.
Yeah, and I know a lot of farmers that voted for Trump, gave him money, and are grateful for what he's trying to do on regulatory and water issues that are going to have an issue. And all it takes is some enforcement, and then the workforce just doesn't show up to work, and you can't get the crops in. And yeah, the downstream consequences of that are obvious.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.